Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It is a beautiful day, a little cooler, bright, sunny, and quite windy. And I'm just, if I seem off a little bit today, it's because I am absolutely wore out. Every part of my body hurts, tired, sluggish. Yesterday, actually not too long after I made my first morning video, got it released, put on YouTube, I got called out to a fire, a wildfire. Originally, this is how it goes a lot of times, originally it was thought to just be a relatively minor fire, and got there and very, very quickly realized that this thing was massive. In the woods. It was in a very, very remote part of our county. I mean, there's nothing around. And so the thing we believed had been burning probably all night, not even sure how it got started. And I ended up having to call in several departments in the area. Ended up being on scene for about 7.5 hours before we got it fully contained. And that terrain, and I'm from here. I mean, I've grown up around here, and so I'm quite familiar with the terrain and a lot of hiking and camping and things like that. And that was some of the most rugged terrain I have ever been on. It was awful. But anyway, so that's why I didn't get an afternoon video up, and just I'm feeling my age this morning, folks. Anyways, I know there's probably a lot of stuff going on. I had no idea really what happened yesterday in the news. Don't really care, honestly, because I'm sure it's just more of the same stuff. But there is something that's happened in the last few days that I've not really seen hardly anyone even mention. And I think it's a big deal. You know, I talk to you a lot about how when things are happening that's just kind of slamming us in the news, you know, like really intense, in your face, you know, this is what's bad, this is good, this is bad, this is what's going on. A lot of times there's stuff kind of getting slipped by us, and that's exactly what happened. Robert Kennedy Jr., his area that he's over, and the FDA, which falls under him, have approved a fast track for a new pokey poke. And I think that this one is quite serious because it's for the H5N1 bird flu, which I've been talking about for a while, and it is still happening. There was a child, I think 3-year-old, in Mexico that passed away just in the last, I think, week or so. So it is spreading. It's not rapidly spreading, but it is spreading, and most of the experts are saying that it's like 1, maybe 2 mutations away from where it would be capable of rapid spreading throughout the human population. And if you remember, it was a week or 2 ago that I think it was Bill Gates was talking about, you know, he was talking about AI. It was Anthony Fauci. That's who it was. It was Anthony Fauci, Dr. Fakey, was talking about, you know, the next pandemic is going to be this influenza bird flu thing, and it's going to be way worse than the COVID and all that kind of stuff. And so this H5N1 has been building, and a lot of experts believe that that's the next one. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows what they have planned for us, right? But I think that what happened with this approval that I'm talking about is quite significant, because they're fast tracking it, and it's not necessarily given emergency status, which is a little different, but it's a fast track approval for a new technology of mRNA. This is a self-replicating mRNA. I mean, this sounds like something out of Star Trek, folks. It's a self-replicating mRNA pokey poke. It's from a company, I think Arcturus or something like that, Laboratories, which is an affiliation offshoot of the Bill Gates Foundation. And so this has been given fast track approval to go ahead and be developed quickly. Which, why would it need to be developed quickly is the question. You know, if there's no risk If there's no, H5N1 pandemic risk, then why fast track this? Why not go through the normal process? Okay, you can try to get normal approval, normal timeline, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12 years. But instead, they're fast tracking this, very possibly because, they know something's about to happen, and so they got to develop this quickly. Here's the thing. This is kind of what happened with the COVID one. You see, that one was developed by DARPA, and there's evidence showing that they were working on developing that novel for a novel virus that they didn't even know about, that they were working on developing the vaccine for that before everybody even knew what COVID was. And the new FDA director is a former director for DARPA. Okay, bring all the dots and connect them together. So you've got JFK, who before the inauguration and everything, everyone thought he was this big anti-vax kind of person, which I knew he wasn't, because you can go back and look at his record in the past and see that he wasn't. And now he's become very open about it. He's talking about the measles. That's the only way to prevent measles, all this kind of stuff. And now they've given fast track approval to this. Of course, we don't know really anything about it other than just what the paper is saying. But what the paper is saying, it looks pretty serious. It is the mRNA nanotechnology that we've all become familiar with, right? This one is different. They're calling this the next level, the next evolution of mRNA technology. And like I said, the self-replicating. So whatever that means, I can't tell you. I don't know, other than just what those words mean, right? That it's capable of replicating itself once it's in the body, I'm assuming. What all that means, who knows? But I don't have to go into detail, folks. This is quite possibly like the last pokey poke, but much worse. Maybe. I mean, who knows? I had said this, and several other people had said this, that the last one, I believe, was kind of a beta test. It was a beta test on the people, how the people react to it. It was also a beta test on the actual product. They wanted to test it, and they didn't want to go through the whole lab rat process of testing it. So they tested it on the world, right? We saw the results of it. And so they're perfecting that. I mean, it was no more than just it was just a big Petri dish is all it was, instead of a small one. And so this is the next one. They've had a few years to work on, bugs out, and now they're developing the next level, the next revolution, the next evolution of mRNA. And I can't see that they're doing this fast track, pushing this for just no reason. Maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe they're just being extra precautious. It's possible. But I think that there's definitely something to this. Now, how do you plan for it? How do you prepare for it? Well, we've already lived through one pandemic. We saw how that was. I suspect the next pandemic will be more severe. We'll also have where they have learned. Government is good at this, though. They're good at learning and making things more, bigger, better, intense, worse, whatever you want to say, the next time around. So they learn from their mistakes. They learn from Operation Warp Speed, how to implement it better and different and more effective, how to increase the police state even more. Now we've got the Real ID, going on here in the next month. We've got more AI, a bigger surveillance state, now than we were 5-6 years ago. So yeah, that's what's happening. Is it going to be next month, next year? Who knows? I suspect there's a very strong, good chance it will happen, at least within Donald Trump's presidency. And probably the first half of his presidency. That's just a guess. I'm not making a prediction. It's just a guess. But looking at the progression of things, it would fit wonderfully economy starts collapsing. We start getting into wars with China, bigger ones with, Russia and all this kind of stuff. And then a big pandemic comes and shuts it all down. And then we got to have something to fix it, right? You need to get ready for this one too. Of all the other things that I tell you, this is something you got to get ready for. And you at least have experience, even though I don't suspect that this next one will follow the exact same patterns and path as the COVID. We still have enough experience from that to get an idea of what to do for. So for it. So you need to be preparing for this. Your food production needs to be greatly increased this year. Start putting back as much as you possibly can, maybe replenish preps, things like that. You just do it. For instance, this last night, this is personal experience. Wife was cooking dinner after I come home. We ate late because I was home late, and she had some canned goods. They were store-bought canned goods that had been in preps. They weren't like years expired or anything. They were still well within their, use date. But it was because we rotate our preps, we eat it. And open them up, it was his canned peas. They weren't any good. Why? We don't know. They were in climate-controlled situations, sealed up. They weren't bulged, but open them up and they just stunk really bad. That happens. That just happens. And so, how can you check that? I don't know. Like I said, the cans looked fine. They weren't rusted. They weren't, out in the heat. They were within their, use by date and all this. It just was a bad batch. I don't know. They were a year or so old. But the point is that, if you just see, well, I've got these preps I prepped up, 5 years ago, we're good. Are you? Have you checked on it? Have you rotated things properly? Is everything good to go? I've heard so many stories, that people buy freeze-dried food and it sits there for 5 years and they decide to crack something open just to see what it's like because it's been sitting there and it's rotten. It's no good because it was just something wrong with it, right? It was a bad batch. So we need to be checking our stuff, going through it. If you've stocked up on a bunch of these long-term batteries and you think that they're going to last for the next 10, 20 years on the shelf, you need to go in there and pull a few out and check them. Do a little quality control test. That's the kind of stuff we need to be doing. We need to be stocking up. We need to be getting out of debt, because this thing is just one of the many things that's happening. I think it's a pretty significant one. And I think that they're definitely going to be pushing more and more of this. There's not really any signs that I can see, any solid signs that I can see in this administration that they wouldn't do this again. Trump is still bragging about being the king of the COVID vax. So you need to get ready. You need to get your houses in order. Start preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.